noise!
Hello and welcome to another edition of Truth and Rhythm, brought to you by funkinstuff.net. This is the interview show that gets deep in the pocket with contemporary music's foremost masters of the groove. I'm your host, Scott Dr. Jigs Goldfine, musicologist and author of Everything's on the One, the First Guide to Funk. If you don't have your copy, get on over to Amazon and pick one up. You'll be so glad you did. Whether you're watching the video version of this at funkinstuff.net or on YouTube, or listening to the audio-only podcast version from providers like iTunes and Spotify, as always, I thank you so much for your continued interest and support in the show. Speaking of which, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives. All kinds of goodies. You'll get early premieres, and it's all free, so make sure you sign up. Tell a friend, tell family. Also, get your official Truth and Rhythm and Funk and Stuff gear at the funkinstuff.net store. Cool stuff like I'm wearing right here. Truth and Rhythm shirts. Show your support and love of the show and also the musicians and the music that they represent. Also want to give a shout out to the Funk Exhibition Center and Hall of Fame in Dayton, Ohio, of which I'm very proud to be an official funk ambassador. Go to thefunkcenter.org to learn more and keep the funk alive. And now, with all that, it's time to get on with the show. Enjoy. I'm pleased to welcome to the Truth and Rhythm Mothership, bassist, singer-composer Lonnie Marshall, also known as Meganut, who is founder and leader of the wild and woolly funk band Weapon of Choice. Heavily influenced by Parliament Funkadelic, he conceptualized the group's so-called Nutmeg Grooves that were first heard on the 1994 debut album. That was followed by more than a half dozen Weapon of Choice and Lonnie Marshall albums, all of them refreshingly quirky, fun, and of course super funky. Having also performed and recorded with greats like George Clinton, Fishbone, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chaka and Ice Cube, Marshall's still bringing amazing music to the masses. This year has been marked by digital re-releases of Weapon of Choice's catalog, as well as a new album called Cosmic Relief, Groove Healing and Verbal Remedies. That sounds like the ideal cure for what ails us all during this crazy 2020, Lonnie. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate being here, and thank you, everybody, tuning in. Thank you.
Yeah, so my pleasure. Glad to be able to accommodate it. And, you know, I've been a fan. We were talking a little before we came on air, but, you know, fan going way back. And had seen you around quite a bit, coming from Los Angeles myself, but you never really connected. So better late than never, right?
Yes, we're always connected, even if we haven't spoken, so. Definitely. We're in the same, we're in the same flow, same frequency. So we're connected. But it's great to be here and be present to you.
Absolutely. And you're coming to us from Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Right in the middle of Hollywood, and. A couple of blocks up. I'm near Hollywood and Vine, where the World Funk headquarters used to be, and that's where a lot of my musical growth started.
Yeah, Hollywood and Vine. I mean, you don't get many more famous intersections than that in the world.
Yeah. I think they were all around here. Charlie Chaplin and. Betty Davis, there's a quote that Betty Davis has. It says, if you want to, she told some upcoming actresses that if they want to make it in Hollywood, take Fountain. So, take Fountain. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I miss it. I moved out here to the south, like 10 years ago at least, and I miss it out there. So good to get some of that vibe back again through you today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're from Los Angeles originally, right? I know your brother Arik, also a musician. So could you just tell the viewers a little bit about, how you came up and how you got into music?
Well, I'm from South Central Los Angeles, and my brother Arik he's 2 years younger than me, and we both have an older brother and 2 younger sisters. So 5 of us in South Central LA, near Florence and Normandy, which is a kind of like a landmark now. People know where Florence and Normandy is. That's where I grew up, right around the corner from Florence and Normandy, and lived in a neighborhood where the gang culture was started. I lived amongst the people that started, were the pioneers or the legends, like Big Tookie. I don't know if you ever heard of Tookie.
So is that Bloods or Crips or what?
They were Rolling 60s Crips, and they were. So yeah, Tookie lived behind me, on the block behind me. I lived on 68th, and he lived on 69th, and Monster Cody. Both of these people were real influential and transformative archetypes that made a difference, and they were heroes to me, and so they were always around, and I didn't know this until years later, but they were actually looking out for us. We didn't, I was never like gang banging or anything like that. I was called homie by some of the people in the neighborhood, which was not, it didn't mean you were cool, or it meant that you were kind of square because you were in the house and you weren't playing outside. That's why they called me homie. But so these people were these people were heroes. They had the big flashy cars and they dressed flashy. They were like balling, like beyond even the videos that the way the videos look. They were living like that. And there were, they all used to hang out 2 houses down from where I lived, and grew up. But they were like my hero archetypes. So it was kind of tempting, I was like, dang, do I want to be like that? But I was always influenced and impacted by Soul Train and music, so that I was always focused and tuned into that, and amazed and just in that magical world, that music takes you no matter what level you're at of understanding or actually playing. So I became immersed in music as early back as I can remember, and influenced by like certain songs. My dad used to play 45s over and over again, so that's where I learned a lot from listening to the songs over and over again about arrangement and instrumentation and distinctions like that as related to music before I actually started playing.
Who was he into, Lonnie?
He liked Al Green, Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye. He liked some old school stuff too, like the Originals. You ever heard The Bells by the Originals?
The group, the Originals?
Yeah, you heard that song, The Bells?
I'm not sure of that track.
Yeah, he used to play that. That's an amazing track. Marvin Gaye used to write and produce those tracks. I never knew that until recently. So he wrote that one, and you heard Baby I'm For Real by the Originals?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Marvin Gaye wrote that and produced it too, I think. But yeah, my dad was, he had some good taste, fortunately, because he wasn't musical. He didn't play an instrument. He had a really cool walk too, which is kind of rhythmic in itself. It was like a rhythmic expression that, but he didn't play any instruments, and he was like, yeah, I never seen him like dance or anything like that. But we watched Soul Train, and that made a big impact on me too. Soul Train was filmed a couple blocks from where I'm at too right now. But yeah, I was impacted by Soul Train, and you know, I was like, I wanted to be, you know, I did, when I saw my older cousin Tony played guitar. He was about 5 years older than me, and maybe even more. But he played guitar, so he was the first person that I saw in real life that actually played the guitar that let me know that it's possible for me to do that. You know, if he could do that, he's doing it right in front of me. You know, he's playing Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, and you know, he's playing Beatles songs and Jimi Hendrix, whatever. So he really inspired me, you know, and let me know that it would be possible for me to do it, you know. And I played a recital. Actually, I played acoustic guitar when I was in elementary school in 4th grade, and I played King of the Road. I played his one song. It was it was a recital. So I learned a couple chords, but I didn't have a guitar. It was like it was the school's guitar, so it wasn't my own guitar. So I still didn't have an instrument until I was like I was 15, you know, and so yeah, I was influenced and inspired by music. So I was always focused on that. But the gang culture was like around me, you know, growing up. So that was like tempting and like you know, provocative to it, you know.
Well, just like so many of the hip hop guys too, that, you know, were inspired by that and came up in that, you know,
yeah,
you know, NWA and Ice-T and all these guys that came from Los Angeles too that went in the hip hop direction.
yeah, Ice-T knows who. I think he lived in the neighborhood where I lived. I used to live on 46 in Normandy. Also, I went to Normandy Avenue School, elementary, and you know, the school was right behind where I lived. So there was an alley, and then there was a school behind me where the drum corps used to practice, you know. So I learned all their cadences just by hearing them practice the drum major, you know. And so I was like, and then I saw them perform. But, you know, they were like the snare players would click their sticks and, you know, click them, you know, one to another, and do all this cool stuff, you know, with their sticks, flip them. And I was like, wow, I want to do that. You know, I want to be in that drum major, you know.
I always liked some of the bands from some of those inner city schools because I went to Santa Monica High School, you know.
Yeah.
And then I would hear some of those bands. I was like, man, they're kicking butt compared to our band.
yeah, they're really into it and passionate about it, you know. And you know, that's the magical element right there, is that, you know, just having that passion for it. And you could tell they were into it, and they had all the distractions around them too, but they were focused, they practiced. But I learned the cadences just by hearing them. So I wanted to be a snare drum player in the drum corps at my elementary school, and so I auditioned. And the drum major, his name was Paul. He lived across the street from me. But so I auditioned on the snare drum. He put the sheet music in front of me, and he saw me do all the cadences. I played everything perfectly from hearing it, but he saw that I wasn't looking at
You were faking
music,
it, yeah.
you know? And so he gave me the cymbals, like he gave me 2 big cymbals, and so that kind of discouraged me for a bit about it, you know. And then I was thinking, like, drum, you know, like drums, you know, you got to carry all those drums. I didn't want to carry lug all those drums around too, you know. But I was, you know, I was like impacted by the rhythm the rhythm pulse of it first, because I would hear, like, we lived in an apartment on 50th and Main, and there were like lots of different ethnic groups in one small area, and everybody was playing loud music. So, you know, it was like, and you couldn't tell where the one was coming from, you know, what was next door, or coming from
So you're
downstairs or
absorbing
upstairs.
all of some of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. And so, yeah, I auditioned to on the snare. I got the cymbals. I got kind of, you know, I got into like comic books, and you know, like I would collect comics, and I would sell comic books too. Yeah, and so I got into that. And when I went to middle school, I was my older brother. His friend was. Have you heard of Nene Montez?
Hmm.
He's in the he was in that. He's kind of like the one of the villains in that Tear the Roof Off documentary. You seen that?
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah. Well, they talk about him a lot, but his son was my older brother's friend, and so that we got a chance to like. They used to pick him up in limos, and we would go with him, you know, and hang out with P-Funk. And we used to go to the World Funk headquarters, and we went to Magic Castle with them. And I'm like, what is that? Don Cornelius hanging? Like,
Wow, I never got into Magic Castle myself.
Yeah, they were all heckling the magicians too.
For people that don't know, Magic Castle was, I don't know if it's still there, but it was this pretty neat old house, big house in Hollywood, and it was magicians hangout, and you could only get in if you knew somebody connected to it. Right?
Yeah, it was a very elite, exclusive place, and yeah, me and my brothers from South Central, we got a limo picking us up, and we're going with our favorite bands. You know, they're on our wall, and we play, you know. We were in the P-Funk. I got a Funkadelic record and a Kiss record by a friend of mine's older brother. Gave me both of them at the same time, and we were into Funkadelic.
Which Funkadelic album was it? Do you remember?
It was which one was that? I think it was Tales of Kid Funkadelic. But yeah, we were into everything, and, you know, digging for everything and anything, and we were into that. And you know, I was into Rick James too, and I was into Duke Ellington, and, you know, I was into music, Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. You know, to me, like that Bo Diddley rhythm that he does on that stank, 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 stank. That's like
that box guitar, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the funk rhythm. That's like if a guitar player is playing funk, they're playing that rhythm. And he seemed like the first one to really like hone in on just vamping on one thing, you know, without the 12-bar blues to the typical change, you know.
And he'd wear it out too.
He'd wear it out, and that, like, to me, like, kind of paved the way for what is known, or what became known as funk. And, you know, there's so much stuff before that was funk, you know, before the terminology or the description of it.
The precursors and threads.
Absolutely, yeah. There's some Louis Armstrong, and, you know, since Lead Belly, and that's funky. But anyway, like, life is funky. My life was funky. You know, it's like household stuff, and I always like, I never fit in anywhere, being light skinned. You know, you know, but I never fit. I had the opportunity to be in other areas too. Like, I lived in East LA for a little bit. I didn't fit in there. I lived in Desert Hot Springs. I didn't fit in there. You know, South Central, I grew up most of my life. I didn't fit in. So I like figured out a way to be resourceful and maximize my time. And I figured out that, like, people say you're wasting, don't waste my time. That it's possible to waste time. And it's possible that there's nothing wrong with that too, and different names for it. But so I was very experimental. I like to experiment, and that's where I was focused.
But I understand that you and your brother, though, also were part of Bootsy's youth group or something, and that was an influence too.
Yeah, that was through when we were going with Omar to we became part of boot camp, and that was, we take photos for teen magazines, soul magazines, like Right On, and with Bootsy, and we got to hang out, and we got to go to the Funk Festival with Rick James, Confunction, Barkays, Brides, Parlette.
The LA Coliseum.
At the LA Coliseum, that was the great funk festival, and it was like it looked like it was beyond sold out, and we got to go backstage, and we were some of us were I was into Rick James. I like Rick James too. Mary Jane, Bustin' Out, and Sexy Lady. My dad was into that too, Rick James. And so we were getting his autograph, at his trailer, and somebody in the somebody's mom didn't like that, and he was like, F Rick James, it's all about this. It was like some kind of beef or something. I didn't know what was happening. We were getting Rick James autograph, and it was like some drama about it, F Rick James mainly from one particular person that I won't even mention who it was, but it was somebody's mom that I knew. I'll just say that.
How old were you at the Funk Fest?
I was 14. I think I was 14. Yeah, 14. Yeah, and I actually went into Bootsy's trailer, and I saw his bass, his space bass, just leaning up there, in the corner, and I actually plucked the E string on the bass, thinking it was going to sound like the records,
Not hooked up to all that electronics, right?
It wasn't hooked up to nothing. It didn't sound like anything. I was like, wow, it didn't sound like that. But anyway, we got to go on stage with Bootsy, and that was like a transformational experience, just like going to the Funk Festival, seeing people I know from my neighborhood and stuff, trying to get to the limo where George and Bootsy are at, and they're coming backstage, and I'm walking with them, with me and my brothers. We're getting in, and we're backstage. We're just chilling out. We're seeing the show, seeing people take their clothes off, and get tackled and get thrown, all kind of crazy stuff. And we go on stage with Bootsy, and while I was walking, before I got up the ramp, there was a ramp going up to the stage, and before I got up to the stage, I was like, I must have been visibly nervous, You know how when you walk and your knees start shaking a little bit, like maybe on your walking to get your diploma or something, it's your graduation, that kind of walk. But Dawn Silva, she said, just remember, we funk. That's what she said. So that was like a really, really impactful, moment. So thank you, Dawn Silva. Brides of Funkenstein, much love. I got it. I felt like I was empowered by that archetype, and so I went. My knees stopped shaking long enough so I could make it up there on stage, and it was like amazing transformational experience because I felt the play like when you play in a sandbox. I felt that kind of play. And I was like, wow! Not only just the impact, I felt the play like just radiating and expanding, and just transcending all, as far as the eye can see and beyond. And I just felt.
I can feel it, man. I can feel you because I went to some of those shows too, and it did have the same effect on me.
Yeah, the interaction and play.
I didn't go on stage, but just being there, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like magic. It really is. It's not talked about or taught as magic, but that's really what it is. It's like I was in the midst of some wizards, like doing an experiment. Like, you know what I mean? If you're in the room with Tesla when he was, doing some of his experiments or something like that. But Frank Waddy, much love, Frank Waddy, the drummer. He was like playing with us, like 'cause he would speed up a little bit, and because we were clapping and saying burning down the house, and so but he was interacting with us, and that really blew me away too, that the interaction and the play part of it, so I said, and then seeing all the people, like what the effect that it had on everybody else, it just created a vibe that like it never left me, it was like from then on I was like, I think I want to do this. So that was my impactful moment right there.
I got a little sad story for you. I had a ticket through a friend to go to that show, the Funk Fest at the Coliseum, and unbeknownst to me, he let another friend buy it from him, and it was earmarked for me. And when I went to go get it, this other friend had it, and I chased him up on rooftops and all around our school to try to get back at him. Oh. Anyway, I never got to go to that show because of that, but I did see Bootsy at the LA Forum at the Monster Rock show in '78, and P-Funk at the Starwood on Santa Monica Boulevard in like the anti-tour, which was awesome with the Brides. So I felt like that helped make up for it, but man, I'm still mad that I missed that Coliseum show.
Wow, man. Yeah, that was an amazing event, and then to see people on they had the football team was the security, I think the part of the USC football team is what I heard. But there would be occasionally during the Barcase set, you would see a whole crowd of people just move to move away from one area, and then there would be one guy jumping around naked, and Barcase would be like, "Oh, leave him alone. He's just having fun." But the security guard would go out there and try to detain him, and he would just this guy was just throwing them around like rag dolls. They were like big dudes, big football players, and he was just tossing them around like they were just poodles,
Well,
but,
I mean, I didn't hear any trouble erupted. I mean, for all as big as it was and everything that was happening, I mean, it came off pretty well, I thought.
It was amazing. It was it was nothing but that. It was nothing but that. And like the Barcase said, they were just having fun, but according to certain rules, that's what happened,
So then, Lonnie, when did you actually pick up a bass and start really getting into the bass?
I got into the bass. I was short. I had a guitar. I had a guitar that was given to me by a friend of the family, and acoustic guitar. And I used to play it like a bass. I played the top 4 strings, because I was influenced by the bass. Larry Graham, when I heard "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself," I was like, what the? And even everyday people, like I was like, wow, I was blown away by all that's the Sly Stone stuff, and Sly Stone's music really was the first to feel like it was like communicating with me. I feel like he was talking to me, giving me some advice. So I was like, through Larry Graham's bass playing, I was into the bass. I like that, and going on stage with Bootsy, I was like, yeah, I want to play the bass. But I had a guitar. It got taken away from me by a family member, the guitar. And so I was like really upset, that I didn't have the guitar anymore, because that's what I was like practicing the bass on until I could get a bass. And so like after that, I got my guitar taken away from me. I was like, I got to get myself a bass. So nobody could take it away from me. It's going to be mine. I'm going to get it. And I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I started selling comic books, and I used to sell guinea pigs. I used to breed and sell guinea pigs,
My sister bred hamsters.
It's fun, man. Guinea pigs are fun, if you can get used to the way they sound, but they're clean, I'm the one that cleans their cages, but they themselves are clean. But yeah, so I was on a mission, because my guitar got taken away from me. I was like, I gotta get my own bass, and so I sold comic books and I sold guinea pigs, and I used to go catch the bus from 68th in Normandy and Western to El Segundo, and to Torrance, and all over the place. I used to go for the comics and the guinea pigs. And I used to see in the school bus going to school every day, I'd see this green hollow body bass that looked shiny in a pawn shop window. I would see it on the way to school every day, every morning. And I was like, I'm going to get that bass. I had to get that bass. But I found out how much it was, and so I had my goal set. And I had a lot of obstacles, like anything, but I eventually raised up enough money with some help from my mom's to get this bass, and I got the bass, and I was just like practicing from sun up to sundown. Basically, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to sing and play at the same time. I wanted to make my own songs. I knew that from the beginning. I wanted to be original. I didn't want to sound like anybody else. I was like something when I first started learning. And I knew I wanted to sing and play my own songs. So I would practice from sun up to sundown.
Ever since I first saw you, you always had that skinny, that little bass.
Yeah, this one right here. Let me see.
There it is.
The Steinberger is made out of graphite and marble. And this bass played the first notes ever at Coachella. This bass right here.
Wow.
The first notes ever played at Coachella was this bass right here. Nobody knows that. That's a little bit for you trivia buffs out there. But
that was what, like 99, around there?
Well, they started calling it Coachella, like closer to then, but we played in like 95 or 6, somewhere around there. We opened up for Pearl Jam and 11. It was Weapon of Choice. And we were getting shoes. I was getting shoes thrown at me and glasses.
Oh, wow. That's like when I saw Prince at the Coliseum for opening for the Stones, and I saw him get the shoes and bottles thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
Pissed me off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was like, I learned to expect the unexpected, since I was born, coming from where I come from. One of my earliest memories was military in the street you know, with assault rifles. As when I was like walking around with my younger brother, and he was in a stroller. So I knew it was a nutmeg world, and I also knew somehow that I asked to be here somehow. So it was for me, it was all about like discovering what it was that I'm here to do. Okay, here it is. Okay, this is pretty nutmeg. That's what I heard the word nutmeg, and that was always funny to me. So that became the nutmeg music. That's what kind of music we make, is the nutmeg music, which is a musical allspice, and it encompasses everything, and it is absolutely nuttin' at the same time. So yeah, I used to practice all the time, and they call me homie. And I taught my brother. I got another guitar, and I taught my brother some chords on the guitar, and how to hold, how to strum and hold his hand. And I'd be practicing, and he would come and ask me to show him something else, and I would show him. And he came and asked me once, and I was like, I gave him a book. I gave him a book with all the chords in the book. I said, if you're serious, learn the chords out of this book. And he went and stayed in there and didn't come out. He learned all the chords. He could play all the chords. I was like, whoa! I guess you're really serious. So then we put together. We had martial law, which was me, Arik, and drummer James Gray, and we used to play around. Well, actually, before this happened, let me just go back to I'm practicing, and I show my brother how to play, and he's playing. So me and him are starting to play and put stuff together too. Because I had a 4-track, and we started making songs. But as soon as I started playing, I started writing songs. Actually, the song on a Weapon of Choice album, Really Relevant, called Headspace. That was the first song I wrote. That was like a riff I wrote when I was learning how to play the bass.
How old do you think you were when you wrote the first one?
That was, I think I was about, I got a bass like I was about maybe 16, I think. Around 16. Yeah.
And how old were you when you first performed in front of people?
Let me see. I played at a talent show, like about, 16. Let's see. I was I think I was about 15 when I started playing. So I played the talent show when at the school I went to, Mid-City Alternative on Adams and Arlington. I played the talent show with the teacher, the music teacher, Bernard, who played saxophone. And we played, what year did Forget Me Nots come out? Because whatever year that
78,
that came out.
Something like that?
Yeah, whatever year that was. That was
Trees
the first
Russian?
time yeah, exactly. I played that, and I got to use my friend's filter bass. But anyway, yeah, I played that Forget Me Nots by Patrice Rushen in a talent show. That was the first time. And I just started, I started, I still was writing songs and recording on my 4-track, and I was recording songs with my brother too. We were putting songs together. And so I was like, what is this next step here? What do I do?
the
What
two
is
you
that?
were, the two. I'm thinking the two of you were kind of like, the Marshall version of like Bootsy and Catfish or the Brothers Johnson. The bass and guitar combination.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing like playing with my brother. Like that family connection is like that's intuition. That's like intuition, even if you don't intend for it to be. But yeah. So I started seeing the local trade magazines, like the Recycler,
Hmm.
and I would look in there for people who wanted a bass player that that was into the stuff that I was into, and I was into the Clash, really into the Clash, and a lot of different stuff, old school stuff. Like I said, Duke Ellington, and I was in the Weather Report and Fusion, and you know. But I started looking at the trade magazines, and I saw this ad for a bass player, and they wanted a bass player that was funky, and I think they mentioned Bootsy in their ad, So I answered the ad, and I was like, yeah, if you want you want the funkiest bass player around, this is who this is, whatever. I don't know what I said, but I said something like arrogant or something like that, cocky, or however you want to look at it. And but the person, they liked it. They thought it was funny. I was doing some character with my voice too. But the person, when I went to the audition for the person, they were there, and it was you heard of Hillel Slovak from the Red Hot,
Yeah.
original Red Hot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The late
it was
the late Hillel. Yeah.
the late Hillel Slovak, the late great, and it was his lady, his woman, and her Addie, and she actually had a place that was near LACC, Los Angeles City College, in the eye clinic on on Melrose,
Mm.
where the eye clinic is near Vermont.
I don't know. No, I know the
Okay,
streets though.
yeah. Anyway, she had a place that it was a pool hall actually, where that was a rehearsal place also, and that's where the Chili Peppers first formed. They were getting ready for their first first party they were playing, and that's when I met them, because they were getting ready to play their first show. But the first person I saw there was Jack Irons, who was playing the drums by himself. And I was blown away by that. He wasn't just doing fills and fancy stuff, like, which is what I was used to, or what I would imagine that drummers usually do, is they practice their flashy, fancy stuff. That he was actually playing song arrangements by himself, So I was like really impressed by that self-discipline, for him to practice by himself. The band's not even there yet, But I imagine they were supposed to be there too, But he was there early, and he was just practicing the songs until they got there. But anyway, that's where I met the Chili Peppers when they were first starting, right
That's
there.
back when they used to wear, the socks on their cocks and that whole body paint. Yeah, they were crazy.
Yeah, and so like to fast forward, my brother, he ended up playing with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he played with Macy Gray and a lot of other people, but he ended up playing with them because the Chili Peppers used to come see our band, Martial Law. Once we started playing around, they would come see us, and they actually got quite a few of their riff inspirations, I would say, from Martial Law.
Hmm.
As did a lot of other influential artists that people wouldn't connect to it, but they were all like they were all aware.
I was going to show this later, Lonnie, but I wanted you to see that I have the actual copy.
Whoa! You got the martial law right there.
Yeah,
That's a.
I don't mess around,
Wow.
Yeah, let me show
That
it
is
to this camera.
That's a rarity right there.
Yeah.
That's a rarity.
Um,
Yeah. How many songs are on there?
There's 9 tracks. and had Fish playing some drums.
Mm-hmm.
Keefus on keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, there's some great tracks in here, and I like the way it's recorded too. I mean, it sounds good.
Oh, thank you, bro. Is Shine on there? A song called Shine?
I think so. Yeah, Shine's on here.
Yeah, that's a jam. That's Fish on there too. You know what? We played in a place called the Kitchen Sink, and that was in Hollywood on like Sunset near Western, and they had an S&M place upstairs, so it was hard to record, you know, because like if you were doing vocals, you'd hear like people like screaming and making a lot of noise, people getting their ass.
Hey, that's just, we call that atmosphere.
It ended up being that, you know, I couldn't do anything about it. But you see the suited gentleman going up the stairs with the briefcase, and then you hear the yelling and spanking and all that stuff going on. But yeah, we recorded a lot of that stuff at the Kitchen Sink.
You know,
and
I like Funk Attack and Shock It To Me. Yeah.
You know what? Shock It To Me is the first one me and my brother wrote together. Yeah, Shock It To Me. And no, actually, Funk Attack is Funk Attack. We played at a party before we were actually martial law, and we wrote that first, Funk Attack, and then we wrote, I think we wrote a couple other ones, but we wrote Shock It To Me around that same time. Yeah.
So why did you end up going to Weapon of Choice, and he kind of went more and did his own thing? And
well, we were doing demos because we were signed to what they call a development deal with Island Records, actually, and we got a development deal, and my brother he didn't want to sign to anything, basically, you know. And at this time, the Chili Peppers were also looking for a guitar player, and so I encouraged him to go with the Chili Peppers. You know, I ended up doing doing it as a solo development deal. And that's where I put Weapon of Choice together. I met Keefus, the keyboard player. Mm-hmm. I met him. He was from Colorado, and he was at USC. And his first night out was I met him. I used to play at this club called Smoky Hose, which was it was like the place that everybody went to in LA, you know. And this place, Keefus, he came out. That was his first night out when he came to LA. He met me. He saw me playing, and we talked. And you know, he said he played keyboard. He told me his influence. He was in the Graham Central Station too, so that's all I had to hear, really. You know, and he said he had a clav too and a Moog, you know. I was like, okay, let's play tomorrow then, you know. And so me and Keefus got together the next day, and we played, and we just played. We had a connection. We have a magical connection, you know, too, when we get together. You know, it's like the chemist, the sonic chemist, you know. And so we had that playful thing, you know, the interaction that was powerful, and you know, he played on my solo demo for Island Records, and then Chris Blackwell, who's the head of Island Records, he said he didn't like the demo, basically, you know. Mm-hmm. He said he didn't like it, and he didn't say why or give any constructive you know, anything, just said, and he didn't like it. And so I understood it. Some of the songs we would re-record, and they would be on Weapon of Choice records. Like we did Slave Driver was on my my demo, and just because she was nice, was on the demo. And what else? Something else, but all the songs, none of the songs sounded like the other song, you know, which I could see for a record company person or anybody that's thinking from that perspective on how am I going to market this, you know, that would be a headache for them. So, you know, I'm not mad at them, but I wanted to create a lane for music to be like all encompassing and just free, expressive, without having to be boxed into a thing like, oh, you're this, you're that. I don't even want to be called anything, you know. I mean nutmeg, you know, which can incorporate everything.
It's hard to do that on a major label. Yeah.